Is there an opportunity to buy the dip, and should you consider doing so? Well, in yesterday's post-market recap, we spoke that the market was going to see a significant move to the downside, and it sure has. With the market hitting our level one bearish inflection point on the weekly, we've seen a massive, strong bounce off that key particular zone. The key question remains, should you buy the dip or sell the rips? Well, the outcome truly depends on the outcome of the Jackson Hole that is happening tomorrow and on Friday with Fed Powell speaking. But we are here to give you guys the education and the knowledge of what's happening, and so that way you can make the best decision when it comes to your trades. Now, we're going to be showcasing our trades as well, so that way you have a transparency and understanding on how well we work. We did very well yesterday, but today was a little bit challenging. We did call out some amazing trades, but we had less confidence in our ability on our A+ setups. So with that being said, let's look into it. So today was definitely a profitable day for me, simply because I found a great opportunity to play SPX at one point. So first thing I want to talk about is exactly what I mentioned yesterday. So I'll get into the trades shortly, but yesterday on the S&P 500, I mentioned that if the market sees a dip below this 200-day moving average, you're likely to see this level one bearish inflection point hit. Now, please keep in mind that these levels that I've generated is for the prior week. I wasn't able to create these levels this week because I was on vacation. So as a result, we are relying on last week's levels, which are definitely still very accurate for this week. So that's why we pretty much are using that. So we did confirm that, and pretty much into today's trading session, we had a very good, strong start here. We were looking into pretty much buying SPX puts, but the market moved significantly fast. You guys can see right off the bat here, we really pretty much dumped and broke every single inflection point that you see over here. Initially, I did actually try to buy calls at this point, and that was our first mistake that we did. So we managed to get CRWV puts, and these puts was a nice 60% that we made. This was a great sell because this was actually the bottom that we had called out on this stock here. So we sold it because it was at a hard point on the premium, and it later decided to rebound off that particular zone. So that was a nice entry point on that play as well. Going back into our long-term swings, we called this NVIDIA 160 put yesterday as well for September 5th. They managed to go to $4, okay, which was a nice double on this specific play as well. So that was a new channel that we made for long-term swings. It was funny enough that it was only one day that it managed to already pay. So going back into our trades, we banked off CRWV right at the beginning. We tried to get PLTR, didn't really work. We bought these XPX 6420 calls simply because whenever we hit an inflection point right here at the open, I usually imagine there would be a pop, and considering that was where the 200-day moving average is, it just literally sliced through. Now, I'm still trying to figure out, what may be the reason, but going in the news details over here, there was news that the Fed member Cook is being investigated. I just have to find it here. And it happened near the morning that the Fed Cook is being investigated for mortgage fraud. And that may be a reason why we may seen that little sharp sell-off. Whenever a Fed member gets into controversy, it can become problematic, okay? Because, the market wants to see lower rates, and if there is any sort of, hint of conspiracy going on or anything like that, that could be a potential reason why that dip happened. Okay, now Cook, her relevance in terms of being a market mover is debatable, but I still believe as a professional day trader that it does have some sort of relevance as well. So we want to see how that can impact going into the Jackson hole. And he might even get questioned about it as well, Fed Powell, about what is going on with Cook. So let's just say if there is evidence of a major conspiracy or something going on in the Fed, because we do know that Trump is constantly fighting the Feds to lower rates, and they're not doing so. But if there's some sort of corruption or scandal involved that is affecting the Fed's ability to lower rates, that's a big problem, and that could impact the market. Okay, so that's a very debatable reason why the market may go down. I think it could be a good explanation on why we've seen a big drop. So these calls ended up, I ended up selling at a 70% loss, but we did make money of CRWV. We jumped back into the CRWV puts, which is currently down right now, but I'm comfortable swinging that. And we basically decided to buy these SPX 6300 puts. Now these 6300 puts, we chased it right away. Was not a great entry, but then I later realized that, you know what? We need to focus on the A+ setups. So we put this order to buy the 6035 puts at 2. The reason why I picked 6035 is because that was the low of the day range. So, and I calculated that 2 to be a good entry point. We got in, got the fill, and that put actually managed to pretty much save us, because those puts, they definitely was a nice winner, you know. So our A+ setups worked very well. So the only reason why I had a green day was because I sized capital here, and that covered the SPX as well. Another bad thing that I did is I had an order to buy the 6350 puts at 1. If I had left that order, I decided to cancel it because I wanted to stay green throughout the day. If I had left that order, it would have been a double. Okay, and that was a very interesting play. The 6360 put, we decided to get at 30 cents. This would have also been a great trade if we got the fill, because I missed my fill by 5 cents. It went up to 70 cents and 80 cents. That would have been a double, and I should have canceled that order. Normally when we missed the fill by a few cents and it rips, we should always cancel, but instead we got the fill and pretty much it got premium drained. So that's the story of my day. I did have a green day simply because I oversized on the A+ setups, but for some members of the team it was a red day, and that's okay, right? It happens to everyone. But other than that, we are still calling consistently good trades, and I'm here mentioning everything to you about what's going on. Now, besides all that, we've seen the market pretty much bounce exactly off this 63.44, and now it looks like it's stuck between 64.18 and this 63.82. So we have to see exactly which way the market wants to break above or below to really confirm the overall trend. Stocks like PLTR, which we did decide to get a short on, is slightly rebounding here and is up 2% pre-market. It's very possible that it can hit this 200-day moving average at around 165 before deciding to go lower here, okay? Because the premiums on this are very expensive. It went to a low of 142 this week. So it's very possible that it can go to this right over here and then simply retest the bottom if it does reject, okay? So we'll keep an eye on that PLTR play. We've seen NVIDIA, and once again, these are last week's numbers, bounce close to last week's level 3 bearish at 169. Very strong support. It also looks like it may test may test is 176, 177 zone. So usually when a sharp sell-off happens, you kind of see a rebound. 285 with strong support. All these semiconductor stocks are starting to see a bounce at my last week's estimated weekly lows. A lot of breakdowns happen as well. I told the team that when the market is seeing major breakdowns or headed into these major breakdowns, it could pretty much collapse here as well. We've seen QQQ hit last week's 559 and is bouncing exactly off that number here. Okay, these are last week's numbers, but they've proven to be very accurate and consistent here as well. So interesting to see. I haven't posted this on Twitter simply because they're last week's numbers, but they're pretty accurate in giving that specific information on where the bounce is going to be for techs. So what I'm saying right now is buying the dip can essentially work. We look like we're going to see a small bounce over here, but the outcome really depends. Do we get above these moving averages? If we don't, then we're going to retest the bottom, but if we do, it's going to get above. Now, in terms of what the expectations are for the Feds, I'm not really optimistic that Powell is going to save this week here. He has been known to pretty much push back on rate cuts, and that can really be the key factor that may drive the market lower this week. So definitely stay tuned for more. We're going to be constantly watching and staying up to date. We'll see you guys in the chat, and like always, let's get that money.